when these both companies come to us, now with Alicia, the whole job that I was talking about is now getting automated with AI. Now the human only gets involved when the meeting actually gets booked with the customer. There's no that I'm too early or I'm too late to get into YC.
Do you think YC has an inclination towards younger founders? I think that's a very fresh and honest take in terms of leave jobs, become an entrepreneur.
This whole process, which would have taken me as Sarthak, maybe a month to learn, this AI takes 5 minutes to learn.
And even more context than that.
With even more context, right?
What your take is on AI sort of replacing human sales jobs?
I can tell you.
What if your next top performing sales rep is not human? Today's guest is Sarthak Shrivastava, the co-founder of Floworks, a Y Combinator-backed startup that's building AI sales employees. It builds tools to increase your leads 8 times, helps you book more meetings, and helps scale your revenue with fewer humans in the loop. So let's hear it from Sarthak himself. Sarthak, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Swati.
Whatever I said right now, is that true?
Absolutely. Our customers are our testament. They use us, they love us. They have found that they don't need as many people as they were earlier. So sales, if you have, if you've known, especially in the B2B side, has always been a linear function, right? Like let's say I'm at X revenue and I have to do 2X, I have to have 2X the team, right? So with Floworks, what we have done is we have broken that mold, where now you don't need 2X more number of people in your team. But what you rather do is you leverage AI to essentially do jobs that the humans were earlier doing, to automate those parts and essentially grow as much as you want, right? So when we say 8x more revenue, we have seen customers who have done even more than that, and that's definitely a big possibility that if your brand is not leveraging right now in this day and age, you're probably lagging behind your competition.
Of course, that's like really amazing to know the level of outcome that your product is providing your clients, right? Can you give us an example of one of your clients or like a startup or company that you're working with that has seen this growth, right? And with an example possibly?
Sure, definitely. I'll take some names.
Sure.
I'm hoping that the customers will mind that I'm telling their secret, but so a couple of brands actually, so one of our oldest customers, Aina, luckily it's, also run by my wife. So, it's like, plain old nepotism that I got the contract. But hey, that being aside, so let's take an example of Aina, or let's take an example of another company called AI Vanta. Totally different spaces, right?
Yeah.
Both of these companies came to us at a similar time, late last year when we had just launched our AI agent, Alicia. Now, to tell a bit about Alicia, what Alicia does. So Alicia is an AI SDR. So to understand what Alicia, she does, basically what does a SDR's job entail? You have to think about that. So SDR, or a sales development rep, is actually someone in your company who goes outside in the world and finds leads for you who are basically qualified, who are interested in looking at your product and buying them. Right? Now, earlier a human was required that was going out, finding those people from different lists out there, finding from the internet out there, then finding out, researching about them, what are the pain points that they're facing, then crafting emails, LinkedIn messages, reaching out, following up, and so on, without having any kind of, it was like kind of a spray and pray approach, where you just shoot in the dark and hope that, someone looks into it. Right? When these both companies come to us, now with Alicia, the whole job that I was talking about is now getting automated with AI. Now the human only gets involved when the meeting actually gets booked with the customer. So all the part, which is basically the research, the reach out, the follow-ups, the replies, everything is taken care by AI. So now suddenly what happens is these companies who were limited by 1 or 2 salespeople in them, and again, minded that a human being can only have a limited bandwidth that they can do.
Yeah.
But these companies with as soon as the AI came into the picture, now their bandwidth was unlimited. So they were able to reach out to more people, as more leads started getting generated. And the person whose job was there to do this suddenly got free to do those sales calls and finally convert leads. Right? So Aina, AI Vanta, both the examples generated massive leads. In fact, these are the two companies that we have case studies on our website about, where they are seeing 8%, 9%, 10% meeting booking rate, which is unprecedented in the industry. And in an industry which has, let's say, 0.5% conversion rate, we are giving 7%, 8%, 12% meeting booking rates, which are again something that people do not believe when they see. But once they start using it, they start realizing that this is the world of AI. It's
definitely
possible.
The numbers are definitely really impressive. So congrats on making that happen, Sarthak, and to your team as well. Guys, do check out Floworks website and go through both of these case studies to know more. So Sarthak, you mentioned how SDR, a human SDR versus an AI SDR sort of functions, right? What comes to mind is when there is a human SDR, there is some sort of context about the clients or your ideal sort of user persona they have to reach out to, right? How does that context sort of feed into an AI SDR? Is it intelligent enough to sort of find those leads intelligently in terms of context?
Great question. So exactly how you train your. So if you think about an AI, right? I very much like to basically compare it to a human's approach to your sales as well, right? Let's assume you have, instead of hiring Alicia, by the way, we say that you hire an AI SDR. So let's assume instead of hiring Alicia, the AI SDR, you hire a human being. Let's say Sarthak, right? How would you have gone to train that person, right? You would have given the person, me, basically the context of the product, what are the different questions that customers ask or prospects ask. Would have asked me to look at, multiple different examples of, the kind of emails that have worked. Would have asked me to look at, what is the ICP, the ideal customer persona, like the kind of companies that typically look at my product and, like it, right? And basically you would have given this whole gamut of training to me, right? And then expected the solution, me as a person, to basically start reaching out, learn from my mistakes and get better at it over time and basically get the meetings that is expected out of me. Very similar to that is what happens with AI SDR. Just the difference is that because it's an AI, it's a computer based, it's a compute system, right? Like, this whole process, which would have taken me as Sarthak, maybe a month to learn, this AI takes 5 minutes to learn.
And even more context than that.
With even more context, right? Literally, it has the whole context of the entire world, the entire internet. Right? Like, so all you need to provide is you train it with, basically you upload your product documents, you upload who's the ICP that you are trying to reach out to, what are the good examples of emails and so on. And let it train and gestate for some time. And what it comes and becomes into is basically a SDR which is trained for your company. So it knows everything about your company, from the internet, from your personal databases, everything. It knows everything on how to reach out to different people. And then it continuously learns as well. So basically it starts reaching out to people, sees what are my open rates, what are my basically conversion rates, what kind of message basically gets people say yes to more meetings, and starts incorporating those more and more and more till it becomes perfect. So it's again very similar process, just very fast.
Yeah, of course. And Alicia sounds like a super strengthened version of someone who might have been a human SDR, right? So Sarthak, let's talk about where all of this began. I wouldn't say began, but where it got more strengthened, right? So YC, Y Combinator, what was your experience like there? Where did that idea sort of start that you and your co-founder will be going to or applying to YC and then eventually making it there? Can you share that journey with us?
Definitely. So yeah, I think I'll start by saying that there has been a lot of talk that, what's the YC of India? There's a lot of LinkedIn chatter that you'll see, right? Like, I don't think anyone can replicate YC. I'll tell you why. Because YC, in a very simple sentence, is network. It's actually, in simple words, network. It's the network that it brings along, right? So, if I ask someone, like if I ask you, Swati, like, would you like to basically, do an MBA in Harvard Business or HBS, right? Let's say you'll say yes, I'm assuming, right? Obviously, right? Everyone would say yes, right? And if I ask you why would you basically, want to be from HBS? All the educational material is available on the internet. Like, Harvard Business case studies are, publicly available. most probably your answer will be the network.
The network,
right?
yes.
Because it's the people that you basically can reach out to who reply back like within an instance that, hey, this is someone from my alma mater. I want to help this person out. And that's what matters, by the way, in this day and age. The people that the leverage that you have, the network that you have.
Of course.
Now, imagine that something for me is basically Brian Chesky, the Airbnb co-founder. I can write him an email right now, and maybe in a day or maybe in a half a day as well, because right now is basically morning time in US. I'll get a reply.
Wow.
I've had these kind of conversations with Vanta, Drata, Airbnb co-founders. In fact, when I'm taking the example of Airbnb, I'll say, like Instacart co-founders again, so these amazing people. I met them at a party which was in YC. Like I did not even know this guy, and I was just having drinks at the bar, and this guy suddenly came in, stopped by, started asking me about me, what I'm doing. I told him that, and then I asked him, and he said, "Oh, I'm the co-founder of Instacart." I was like, okay, right? So that's YC, right? You get that network of, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 amazing companies, amazing builders who basically are maybe the top 1% of this entrepreneurial ecosystem. And that access with the access of the partners that you get, right? So YC never ends. I still talk to Dalton, Michael whenever I need to, right? And that whole condensed knowledge of what is happening behind the doors, that access to basically understand, what can be done, the opportunities that get created is what YC was. So that's why we got into YC. We applied to YC or aspired to be in YC. And getting into YC is also, I'll say, very tactical. We understood that YC, like any other, it's at the end of the day a venture capitalist firm, right? It's like a VC firm. So they also care about the same things that other VCs do, which is just that their scale is much larger, and which is basically every VC is investing in some themes that they basically believe in. So what we realized was, interestingly, what we were trying to build, which is Floworks, is fitting very, very, very aptly into the theme of YC at that time of investing, which was winter 23 when we joined in. Right? So we filled out a form. We literally took the best advices which are available, which was like keep the form very simple, talk about what really you have learned. Interestingly, we got invite to an interview where we had Puneet, who's by the way also who's the co-founder of Super Daily that got acquired by. Right now, I think Puneet is the partner at Nexus, if I'm remembering correctly, and Brad Flora, who was our general partner at that time. It was a very quick, short 10-minute interview. And again, we had learned of what to basically expect in the interview and what to do. So it's basically rapid fire questions, one by one, and giving very clear, crisp answers. And interestingly, they liked it, right? So one very interesting story about our interview also was, so what we had heard everywhere was that if YC accepts you, they say yes on the spot. Or maybe, within 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And we had not gotten anything. So it was like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. I was panicking. So no negatives, no positive, nothing, right? I think I was sweating. I was like, I actually got fever. I like everything went bad. And mind it, like this was night time, because obviously they are taking, our interview, 11 p.m. or something, 11 p.m. or something like that, right? So I'm awake the whole night. I'm checking my email every hour. Like maybe they have some question. If I don't answer quickly, I don't get into YC, that kind of thing, right? And I was like, I had lost it, like 7-8 hours in. And then I just called my co-founder Sudipta, in the morning, like 8 a.m. So he was interesting. He also had a very, very, very interesting night. He was actually flying back from his hometown to Bangalore.
So it was just you doing the interview?
No. We did the interview.
Then he jumped on
he jumped. It was a Zoom call, right? So
got it.
He jumped on the flight, right? And now he's on the flight. He had no clue of what's happening, and he's also panicking. Did we get in? Did we not get in? Right? And he landed, I think, at 7 a.m. or something like that. When he landed, I called him. I think I didn't get anything. I don't think we have gotten in. And he, being a perpetual optimist, he's like, no, maybe they are late. Maybe they thought that we have slept or whatever, right? Something. And 12 hour of very dreadful day went for me, where I was like, we have customers, but what is the meaning of life? Everything that, like obviously, I took rejection very, very seriously at the time. I felt that. And then I got at 8 p.m. that night a mail from Brad Flora
Yeah.
That, hey, can you get on a call? We have something else to discuss about.
Okay.
So we were like, maybe this
Another
is
chance.
another chance, right?
Yes.
So we prepared extra hard. We were like, we dissected every question's answer that maybe
where
this is
you
what
might be falling short previously.
Everything. We had a thesis. Like we had like, I don't know, 10, 12 pages of your long thesis that this is what we'll do, this is what we'll do. And we scheduled the call for, after 24 hours.
Yeah.
So the next day. Right? Next day we got on the call, like very super stressed. I still have a fever, everything. I'm like again sweating a bit, like because your fever is getting down or something like that.
Yeah.
And my co-founder is like on the verge, and Brad comes in and he's like, "Well, I just wanted to tell you that you have been accepted."
Oh wow!
and I just wanted to know if you like. So I just wanted to tell you that you are selected.
Okay.
And then we just went into this, like we couldn't say anything. We were like literally speechless.
Instant fever reduction.
No, we were speechless. We were like, there was blank expression on our faces.
Yeah.
And then Brad, after 2 minutes, actually, I had to ask, guys, I still need a verbal confirmation that you are getting in. We were like, yeah, obviously we are getting in.
Oh my God.
We accepted.
Yeah.
The call, he congratulated us. He told us, how the process will work like.
Yeah.
We got off the call. My co-founder called and started crying.
Aww.
He was like, I'm not expecting this.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. This means that we are doing something good. So that's how we got into YC.
That's a happy story and also very interesting journey. Thank you for sharing that, Sarthak. So what that makes me think is this season's YC applications just closed, right? So there might be startups who are preparing to apply in the next one. So can you share just succinctly what your process was like? How early on you sort of knew you wanted to apply, and what was your process of preparing for that application? And is that preparation actually needed? Just your 2 cents on that here.
If you run a good business, you don't need the preparation. So you just need 2 things, which is, okay, so first of all, to start off, there's no that I'm too early or I'm too late to get into YC, right? Like, obviously, I'll say if you have already raised a very good seed and preparing for a Series A, maybe you are too late for YC.
Do you think YC has an inclination towards younger founders?
It seems so. Okay. But I have felt the other way as well, where some of the best co-founders were, in late 30s as well that I've found and met. So, like ex-director of technology at Tesla had come in as one of the co-founders in our batch. So it doesn't matter. The batch is, obviously, there's more people who are applying who are younger.
Yeah.
So as more people get in who are younger,
makes sense.
Vice versa. But you still, if you are good, you have some solid thought of, what you're trying to build. Yeah. You are someone who YC is interested in. Right? So there's no early or late. YC technically also opened up, this thing where you can just say, okay, I'm a solo founder.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so there's no requirement of the number of founders.
You can go find your co-founder there, or you can just be a solo person?
No, you have to be a solo founder. So YC does have something called a YC founder matching platform. Okay. Where you can basically find good co-founders and you can work with them. But if you're getting into YC, then you basically they are not giving you other founders to basically match out, right? Okay. If you find someone, you can talk to them, that's fine. Okay. But what I was trying to say is that YC doesn't say that you cannot be a solo founder. You can be a solo founder. Okay. Although, that being said, YC does like it when there are two or three founders, not 2 or more as well, 2 or 3 founders, because generally when you are in this founding journey, it is a tough job, right? And having 2 people or 3 people generally is better because they have enough skin in the game to basically try to fight on equal grounds, right? So, but that being said, again, if you're a solo founder with no idea, literally write that in the application and still apply. Okay. There's still a chance that you might get in, right? People have gotten in. Right? Again, you don't have to have a revenue making business. You have pre-revenue, you get in as well. Okay. The thing that YC is looking for is basically clarity of thought. Now, how do you basically showcase that? Is by how crisply you can talk about what you're building. Can you explain to a 5-year-old your business idea? If you can, write that in. That's what they like. Clarity. They are looking for basically insights on the topic, something that they also basically are like, okay, this sounds interesting. This is something that, is a good angle to basically look at this whole market as. Yeah. And lastly, what they're looking for is something I call momentum. Now, what is momentum in a startup? Momentum is basically 2 things, right? It's basically always like science is as we read here, M into V. It's some similar way. It's 2 parts in a startup, which is how early you are and how much growth have you basically seen, or what have you done with that. So basically, the earlier you are, the lesser what they're expecting.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, let's say you have started a company 2 weeks back. You are having a maybe a MVP product, very simple, where you got 1 user in, great, amazing momentum.
Okay.
Whereas let's say you are 1-year-old company, but you still have maybe 1 revenue making customer and very shaky product, that's a very bad momentum. So if you basically are able to showcase that momentum in your application with clarity of thought, high chances that they expect you to basically come in and do an interview at least.
Makes sense. So like build fast and fail fast.
Yeah. At least do whatever you are trying to achieve. Keep running towards that. As soon as you're slowing down, as soon as you are like taking too much time, no, I'll perfect my product first before I take to the customer. No one likes that. Definitely not wise.
For sure. No, thank you for sharing that, Sarthak. My next question would be, so as someone who's worked extensively in the AI ecosystem in the US and in India both, and with the AI landscape rapidly evolving in India, how do you feel we are comparing with the West?
Interesting and a very, very, I think I've been asked this question multiple times.
Okay.
Two things. I'll start by saying that India has predominantly been an amazing service economy. It's not a bad thing. It's actually one of the strengths that we have, right? We have amazing companies that have built on the backbone of service. And I'm very confident to say that India is also leading the charge in AI services. So what is AI services if you talk about it? Every company, wants their own, like no one can use the models as they are in, right? They need some kind of, like, we call it wrappers. It's a derogatory term, but technically that's what everyone in the world is needing, right? Like, fix this model or fix these services with a product offering that I'm having or the product that I'm having, so that it meets the needs of a particular customer. Right? That services, India is leading charge and India is doing amazing there. Awesome. We do lack in the front when we talk about building frontier models. But I also have a feeling, this is my stance, that we don't need frontier models anymore. Right? Like, the frontier models race was like a big thing in 2023, maybe somewhat there in 2024. 2025 is the year of agents. Everyone is talking about that, right? Like, and agents doesn't need that. So if you're talking about agents, we have amazing companies coming out of India. Like, companies are finding great use cases, which basically is very, very apt for global use cases, and they're basically shipping them out. So India is not lagging anywhere in the world in 2025 and beyond.
Makes sense. We actually had someone in our lab who was the last podcast guest who's building frontier models for India.
Amazing. That's an amazing thing, by the way. No, I don't. I mean, no disrespect to these people, but I do believe that monetization of those frontier models will be a question that still is not answered. I do understand there's a need for vernacular.
So it's Indic languages.
Indic language. Definitely, there's a need for that. The question again still comes down: who will be paying for that? And I'm not very clear about that.
Makes sense. Cool. So with like this rise of AI and more enabled tech talent, right? There we've seen there is a huge demand for specialized tech talent at this point. What has your strategy been for your company in terms of hiring talent, and the strategy that you influence for your clients as well in terms of them hiring talent?
That's a very tricky question to answer, but I'll try to answer honestly. To start off with, my company, the idea is pretty simple. We believe in AI as the fundamental shift that is happening in 2025 and onwards. I'll say 2023-4 still was early days of experimentation. But 2025 and onwards, if you're not someone who is able to use these AI tools very well, or let's say if you're not able to use, great. But if you do not have an intent to even learn and use them, then you are not someone who will be scaling up. And as an employee in a company, my expectation is that you scale up with the company. Otherwise, it's a moot resource. Like, I'll then hire a consultant, right? Why do I have to have a overhead of having an employee? So that's the first thing that we look at. We do not hire, first of all, some people, like, you have an AI based background, great, but actually they're generally like a little more expensive. The people who come with AI, right? You know, you have extra skill allowed. What we learned is, you know, teaching someone how to use basically AI or how to use these tools is not that difficult.
Okay.
So what we actually prefer is people who have the intent to learn or who have very, very basic understanding of, you know, what basically the AI tools and basically how to basically, you know, get into these things. And when they come in, they learn on the job. So most of our engineers were, you know, normal engineers, you know, who had, you know, basic understandings, and then they became the people who are like the power users of, you know, basically Copilot or, you know, Cursor or, you know, like right now. In fact, very interestingly, even my one of my director of engineering just basically got a subscription for Codex. So I don't know if you have heard of Codex.
I have.
Right? So the first agent for doing coding, right? And with he literally, we bought the subscription yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
And we completed today the amount of job that was supposed to be done in a week.
Amazing.
So in 2 days we were able to do the 6-day or 5-day job.
Okay.
And that's something which is happening with just this one tool, right? Which is a $60 tool that we just bought out, right? So that's our philosophy. And I think whoever is basically becoming our customer is also having the same philosophy. So I do not.
So you want to become the Codex of sales, right?
Yeah. Well, not really Codex, because
not Codex, but
Codex still has to be used by a human being. We are even more agentic, where we are like, you know, tell us what to do and forget about it. Let the sales happen on the back end.
Yeah.
But that being said, very, very true. Like someone. So we have had stories of customers who are planning to hire, you know, 7 people, 8 people. Like, I'll actually take the example of AI Vanta again, right? They were planning to hire, you know, 3 to 4 SDRs in their team because the business was growing. Started using Floworks.
Okay.
Stopped hiring. Right? They were like, okay, this one person is doing the job of 5 people. Why do I need an extra person? Right? And that's not like it's not the one-time job. Like, it's actually happening with multiple customers. So to another customer of ours, like behemoth $9.6 billion company based out of US. They were planning to expand their, you know, 6 people team to 12 people team. Got us, reduced the team from 6 people to 3 people. Oh, wow. Now the 3 extra people are actually doing sales. They have been promoted to AEs. So that's the power of AI, and that's what our customers are. So our early adopters are also people who understand that AI will empower their businesses and will reduce the inefficiencies which are there, so that lesser human guy will do the more jobs.
Makes sense. So this is a perfect segue to my next question, actually. I'm sure you get this question a lot. But how do you address when people ask you what your take is on AI sort of replacing human sales jobs, right? So
I can tell you, I have been a sales guy through my life. No sales guy loves doing sales. Right? You know, it's like so we are not replacing the fun part of sales, which is maybe revenue collection, you know, maybe getting money and, you know, the relationship building, right? What we are replacing, and what actually AI is doing, by the way, in this whole world, is replacing the mundane, boring, you know, 80% job.
Makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
And I say go for it, right? The thing that people do not understand is, so I generally like to compare it to industrial revolution, right? People took up arms when basically machines came in, saying that, hey, machines are taking over our jobs. But those machines then gave more jobs to them, more economic prosperity, right?
Yeah.
That's the expectation, or that's what you should be expecting out of AI as well. I think Microsoft recently laid off 6,000 engineers. Now those 6,000 engineers, Microsoft guys, experts, are very smart people. What do you think they'll be doing? Most probably starting their own companies with, again, these AI agents, right? More companies, more agents, more products, more productivity, more demand, more money, better for the whole world, right? Like, that's essentially the loop. So when people ask me, I'm like, this is the way the world is, right? Yeah, you have to, first of all. So very interestingly, today as well, I think Kunal Shah posted this thing on LinkedIn where he said, like, you know, because of AI, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he said because of AI, more freshers are becoming entrepreneurs because there are no jobs that are existing for freshers. That's the best thing, right? But I'll also say that now even people who are, let's say, you know, lesser than 4 or 5 in the, you know, scale of 5 in a company, right? You know, who are getting the ratings, even those will be becoming more entrepreneurs, because suddenly even their jobs are being able to will be done by AI in a better way. So that's more productivity for us.
Yeah, I think that's a very fresh and honest take in terms of leave jobs, become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? You just like it's freeing up more mundane tasks, as you said, to become more specialized and actually like going and getting into your actual full potential, getting towards that, right? So thank you for sharing that take, Sarthak. My final question to you is, what would your advice being there, done it all, been in the US, been part of YC, what is your advice to young entrepreneurs that are looking to get into more international accelerators, and probably taking that, making that decision of probably starting their company internationally or come back to India? What is your thought process around that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Great question, right? So I'll say you should not be trying to get into something just for the sake of basically prestige, or hey, it's amazing that I'm YC backed, or I'm like this South Park Commons, I'm backed by them, or Plum, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Peer VC, whatever. Like there's so many different accelerators out there, right?
Yeah.
A young founder, or like anyone who is basically starting off right now, they should first of all be very clear why this particular partner is gonna be helping me grow my company, right? And mind it, every accelerator, anyone who's saying anything to you, like even if they're saying that I don't take equity right now, I'll give you money, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
They'll ultimately will be your partners, right? And this partnership is not a small partnership. It's like 5-year, 7-year, 10-year partnership. It's like we say this in basically our company, that founding a company is like marriage, right? I am technically married to my co-founder, because we have to have the same kind of fights that married people do, everything like that, right?
Of course, yeah.
So in a similar way, you are also marrying that VC, that accelerator. Now if you're not getting the benefit out of them, what they basically provide, well, the marriage was of no use, right? You could have basically married someone else to basically get those benefits, right? Whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking to basically set up something, so again, very short take, YC, peer, even like I'll say Techstars, or South Park, all these provide one thing which is very, very crucial, is access to international markets, right? I'm sitting in India, selling to US, I need that access, because that helps me with my flywheel motion, like my 0 to 1 journey.
Of course,
if you have those things, go for it. But you need to then also convince them that this is what I'm looking for. I can grow from my business, which is, let's say, doing X to 10,000x, if I just have you as my partner, and they'll be very happy to get you in, because ultimately even they are growing because of you, right? If on the other side, flip side, you are someone who is saying, no, I want to build in India, I want to build for India. And again, by the way, there are exceptions to that, right? Zepto is a great exception of that. Zepto being YC, building for India, and everything, right? Yes. But again, if you're building for India, building in India, then you don't necessarily need to be in YC. Again, YC helps you, all these networks help you. You basically get the access to best capital and all of these things. You can also look at some Indian accelerators, like not even accelerators. I'll say there are some amazing programs, like Axel has Atoms, like P15 has Surge.
Yeah.
Right? All those are amazing programs. Amazing companies have come out of those.
Do you think YC will ever come to India? Like SPC is now in India,
so YC's model doesn't work in this way. YC is YC. There's only one YC. Right? There's nothing else. Everyone comes to YC. It's like, again, you don't dilute the brand. Correct. You don't dilute the...
they don't have a need to.
It's like, see, they tried technically increasing the batch sizes. It actually backfired.
Okay.
Some of the batches that actually did not perform maybe that well were the ones who had larger batch sizes. So what they realized was that having a smaller batch size, which is much more concentrated, has generated better results for them. So it doesn't seem like for them they'll be basically expanding outside. But that being said, YC is interested in new markets.
Yeah.
So they might shift focus back to India, because now India is booming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, and they will definitely start. But again, even if you're in India, like I always get this question, like Indians are not getting into YC a lot. What's happening? I will say you should apply. People are not applying with the proper intent. Like answer is still the same, right? Like look at, they're a VC firm.
Yeah.
Look at what they are investing in, what they've invested in the last batch. Have something which is similar to that. If you have that background, they will be interested in talking to you and getting in. And even if you don't get in, realize this thing, that filling out just that form will give you more understanding about your business than like hundreds of these sessions, or basically looking at your business for months.
Yeah.
So do that as an exercise, and hey, if you get into YC, great, bonus on top of that.
Of course, yeah. Thank you. That's like amazing advice. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from this take. I do have one final question, Sarthak. Since you mentioned marriage of co-founders, I know Astha, your wife, is also a top founder, right? A startup founder. Would you ever consider both of you starting something together?
She's I always say that she's a better co-founder, I'll say operator than I am.
Yeah.
As a co-founder. So I would have ideally liked if I were not married to her.
Yeah. Okay.
So because simply put, see, simple answer, if we are starting together up as well, who do I have to go back to crib to when I have to crib about my co-founder, and vice versa, when I have to crib about my wife, who do I go to? So it like breaks that mold.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. Otherwise, no. All kidding aside, yeah. If there ever chance comes in, I would love to. I think our skills complement us each other a lot. Most probably, maybe after our ventures get over, we'll start off, because we love starting.
Amazing. I love hearing that. And all the best with your current venture and future ventures.
Thank you so much.
So Sarthak, please tell us, have you raised funds at all? And what stage, what level, and are you looking to raise funds in the future as well?
Sure. So yeah, we have raised seed round. YC and Sensei were the lead investors there. It was a $1.5 million round. We did that in 2023 mid.
Okay.
And right now we are in the conversation of our next round as well.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Perfect.